My point is, you're dealing with something that would totally change the way the world runs. Back in 1993, I was invited by Lawrence Rockefeller to come out to his ranch with some spooks and some other folks, my intelligence friends, I'd say that lovingly. And, you know, I'm a country doctor in North Carolina at the time, rattling around in an ER, taking care of gunshots and shootings and heart attacks and all the fun stuff. And I get involved in this stuff, partially out of the fact that my uncle designed the lunar module, the thing that landed on the moon, took Neil Armstrong there. He was a senior project engineer at Grumman who designed that. And I thought, well, you know, here we go. So I'm going to go out here and I'll meet with these guys and see, you know, what's going on. And one night, Lawrence takes me out, and, of course, they have the original of everything. So the original Remington that has the Native American with the headdress with his arms outstretched to the sky, it's beautiful. It was there on this deck. And we went out there by ourselves. He says, well, Dr. Greer, you know that no aspect of life on Earth will be unaltered once this comes out. So profound are the implications. I said, I know, Lawrence. That's why it's so damn secret, and also so illegally secret. It couldn't be legal with the president and the Congress and the right people knowing about it and keep it secret. It has to be an unacknowledged special access project. Memorize it, USAP. That's what they're really called, if you ever hear it. And they are unacknowledged. They're not acknowledged to anyone unless you're in the project. And I told Mr. Rockefeller, I said, yeah, but you know what? This has been going on for decades. And now the world is beginning to stew in its own juices environmentally. And we're going to, the chickens, and this is 93, long before 2001 and the 9/11 event. And I said the chickens will come home to roost if we maintain this status quo where the zero-sum game of fossil fuels necessitates the impoverishment of at least 80% of the world's population. You think I'm kidding? CNN today reported China being industrialized, moving into the oil and commodities markets. If you think gas is expensive now, wait 5 or 10 years. You'll be lucky if you can buy it for $10 a gallon. It is a serious problem, and the only way to maintain the zero-sum game that we have of energy supplies is to keep this subject secret, make you people think that this is all hooey and nonsense, because the shills that are in the media who are on the payroll, like this, believe me, I know who they are, of these secret operations, will make this sound like so much nonsense when in reality they know it's true. In 2001, as you know, prior to the 9/11 event, we had a large press conference in Washington. That's available for free. Anyone who wants to see it, download it, take it, put it on your cable access station. We had 20 or 22 military and intelligence witnesses there, National Press Club ballroom, packed with every network in the world. By the way, it was viewed live by around 500,000 people. It was the largest webcast in the history of the Internet. Not the history of the National Press Club, of the Internet. That's how much interest there is, even though this subject doesn't matter, you see. But there's enormous interest. It ended up getting covered briefly by networks all over the world and then was taken down. The shills, the national security control levers were being pulled heavily. And a little tidbit, that first hour of that webcast, as you can see in its entirety, because thank God we recorded it as well as broadcast it, was jammed externally by NSA. This I have on direct sources. So that's why the people who tried to get on, hundreds of thousands of people, saw nothing for the first hour because it was jammed electronically. Anyway, this is the hottest subject there is. It is the crown jewel of the secret, shadowy government that Senator Inouye refers to in the Iran-Contra hearings when he says that, and when Eisenhower says, beware the military-industrial complex, he, a five-star general and conservative Republican two-term president. It's because they knew that there was a kleptocracy of corporate and financial interests that had infected or invaded like a cancer our body politic, our institutions, our media, to keep things secret that would upset the apple cart of who really runs the show. And you got a couple hundred interlocking big corporations and individuals involved with those who run the show. It is not the President of the United States, and it most certainly is not the Congress. And anyone who tells you otherwise is in a fairy tale. Doesn't happen. I've met with some of these people who are in this group. About 40 or 45% of them want us to succeed. They do. But when Bill Colby was going to reach out to us, CI Director Colby was going to reach out to us to give us what we needed to succeed massively, they found him floating down the Potomac River the week that he was meeting with my board. True. I don't say that publicly often. I'll say it here. Times is late in the game. Might as well put it out there. So it is difficult to overstate the significance of this and what has been done to keep it secret. I, a few years ago, was asked to brief President Clinton's first CIA director about this. The cover story was a dinner party at a townhouse in Arlington. And a guy who runs a think tank related to national security issues, who's good friends with the CIA director, said that this should happen. I said, well, what am I going to tell him? He says, and I have this in a letter. I can't release it because it's not my property, copyright laws, but I'll paraphrase what this good friend of the CIA director has told me. He says, the CIA director has made inquiries into this subject and knows he's being lied to and has received no information. This is a sitting director of Central Intelligence. And I laughed at first. I thought this had to be a ruse. It turned out he wasn't joking. This actually is the way it runs. And so I said, well, I'll come up there. So I got someone to cover my shift in the ER. My life is like this, crazy. And, I had 4 little kids, and we get a nanny, and so we go up because I had to have my wife there because the cover story is this 3 couples, you see. And I hate to say it, the wives were kind of props. Isn't that awful? Pigs. Haven't come as far as we think. Anyway, so anyway, my wife is the most saintly person in the world, actually, and we're having our 25th anniversary this year, and it's amazing. And she stuck with me through all this, and she's the only one on earth who knows what I've gone through. It's hard. This meeting was hard because I was asked to put together the information for a CI director. I mean, it's like, what? I called this guy up. I said, you've got to be, can I say it? I said, you've got to be fucking kidding. I said, I'm a country doctor in North Carolina taking care of people in an ER. I said, you're asking me to come in with a satchel full of the evidence that we've collected? He says, yes, he's got to have it. And I said, well, what the hell is he going to do with it? He says, well, that's what we're going to talk about. Well, they ended up doing nothing. Because in this meeting, which lasted 3 hours, there's a lot of disinformation about that meeting. But the truth is, it went on for almost 3 hours. He was shaken to his core. He was extremely upset and angry. But I think what was the prevailing sense was that here you had the President of the United States, his inner circle, a sitting CIA director, and some other folks that I'd gotten access to through just networking. And they were all being shut out of the truth, and they knew it. And what I discovered is that your rank has nothing to do with whether or not you're going to know about this. You think that because you got 4 stars on your lapel that you're going to automatically know about this. Not true. Because I've met with people who are at that level. I've briefed the head of intelligence for the Joint Chiefs of Staff, J2. I've briefed the head of the Defense Intelligence Agency extensively, 2 of them. And they will attempt to make inquiries into the chain of command. One of them, who I won't name here, went over to his shelf, the big corner office that DIA head has at the Pentagon. And I had my military advisor and escort with me and a couple other folks. And he went over to his shelf and he took off a little E.T. doll, like you'd get at, a 5 and dime store. He says, this is all I've gotten for my inquiry into the subject. True story. I went, Mother of God, you got to be kidding. It's the head of the DIA. And what was interesting, because I said, well, sir, there are certainly people on your staff who know about this. But they don't want you to know. He says, well, I can't believe that. I said, I'm sure there are people on your senior staff. And there was a colonel sitting at the table, and his body language stiffened. And my military advisor, who's a former naval commander and very connected up in various circles, particularly unacknowledged circles, and I shared notes afterwards and said, that man is on the inside, and he's lying to the general. look, it's the